One.
We're alive.
We're live. Oh, hey. Hi. So, my name's Chris Douglas. This is our podcast called Wide Awake in Babylon. This is episode 3. The first 2 you can check out on Spotify. We have it under Wide Awake in Babylon on Spotify, so you can watch it there. We're also streaming it on Facebook Live for friends there. This is a Coney. This is Andrew. Andrew's good. That's what you go by?
Andrew. Yeah.
Cool. Right on. And we have Isaac, and Isaac's our brains behind the whole thing. I'm not good with technical stuff, so we have him. So these are friends of ours. They come up here a lot. They have been extremely helpful in a lot of the things we do here at our place up here that we run up in Colorado. The first 2 episodes of this was basically a bio, a little bit about me, and where I'm coming from, and my intentions for doing this. My whole purpose for doing a podcast was not so much to convince anybody of anything or to keep them abreast of current events. There's plenty of that out there. I want to lean more into what causes us to succumb to the madness instead of realizing that we're going through these cycles of madness and the real objective is to not go mad. To allow this kind of awakening to things that are real. What you thought was something perfectly benign turns out to be quite dangerous. These things that you go through in life. And, that's where people crash and burn. That's where trauma comes in and damage and victimhood and people become scared to live, to actually really live, the vibrancy inside of them. They live these kind of narratives that play in their brain and you see it. They're just stuck in this little narrative. And I always, for my whole life, it's just been an interesting thing for me. I'm trying to figure out how to not let those the thing that dampens the life force, that dampens the well-being, that dampens sanity, how to stop that thing from actually taking over your life or having influence in it. Right? Which is a huge topic because we're talking about your entire life. I mean, you're dealing with this whole mental structure that you call yourself, me, my identity. It's operating in every field of your life. It's not just narrowed down to it's just here. It's kind of got its fingers in everything. Right? And it's kind of seems to me like that whole identity that we carry around is a construct, which identity really means construct. It's something built. It's manufactured. The identity is a manufacturing process. You're building it out of, past experience, information you got from somewhere else. But it's not really has essence. It just has a presence because we give it attention, right? But that thing cripples us. And we start to lose the more luster of life. It starts to dim down. And then things become kind of And, we get into these habituated states of just kind of not being fully alive. So, my whole life's, interest is how to maintain a presence within you that has well-being, has energetic presence, that it has clear-mindedness, that it, the soul is finding a body to land in that's actually a nice place to be instead of a toxic pit full of weird self-consciousness and strange thoughts about the world. How to really clear that out and actually just be in it as life itself, which sounds odd, I know. But so that's why tonight's episode, we're going to go into identity, and we're going to do it for a while. And, we're going to explore this idea of what identity is, but not for information. It's not to inform anybody of anything. So it's basically, what is it constructed of? And how is that thing messing up life so much? How is that really driving people into these mad places where they have these goals that they think are going to make them achieve a state of being or consciousness in the world? That's any activity, outward activity. How is that going to influence what's going on inside? So, first of all, we have to really look at, if we're going to talk about it, what is identity as opposed to presence? Are they the same thing? Right? Identity is looking for things to associate with. Right? The being is the presence is just there. It's the thing that's living and breathing and observing the world and seeing it. That to me is what presence is. It's there before you say anything. It's there before you have an opinion of anything. It's there before you write a story about anything. It's there before you create a narrative. It's there before you react. It's presence. Right? So bringing that to a situation, it kind of sees it pretty clearly. Right? But if there's like a part of it we're identifying with and we create this kind of structure or persona to engage, we've narrowed our ability to be aware of the elements that thinking process called identity, that trying to figure things out, it's not going to be able to have access to the bigger picture because it's going to be focused in some narrow little state of data that makes it feel okay. Identity is it's really a composite of past experience, influence from others, things we read, things that have happened to us, and the way we've described them to ourselves. No one's can be real. No one's can actually be the truth of who that person is. It doesn't have the capacity to grasp what life actually is, right? But then there's the presence in us. And that's looking out of the eyeballs. That's engaging the world. The identity can't do that. The reason it can't do it, it's not alive. It's a composite. It's parts brought together to put out some kind of an expression. Right? But it's not composed of the things of life, the forces of life. It's composed of the opinions, ideas, and beliefs about those things that compose life. Right? So it gets into this thinking process and tries to figure things out. To where the presence is just fine being present. It doesn't need to be anything else. Right? The life is there. And the life is running in the presence that's streaming out of you that you're watching the world with. That doesn't need anything added to it to make it potent. Right? It's just where does the identity come in and decide what it's going to do with all those energetic signals going on? Or any of the situations, who's making the decisions as to how any of that's going to go? Right? If it goes sideways, it's the identity. If it goes well, the presence just kind of floated through it as it's meant to do. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but to follow the stream of presence that goes through you and let it land where it lands and then be able to pay attention to that instead of trying to determine what it is, why it's there, what I need to do about it, and how to get all the uncomfortableness out of my life. That's the identity. It sees all these things that you need to have access to for true perception of something. It takes all those and makes them problems. It makes them problems to be solved and figured out. Things to be altered. The identity is always trying to skew everything to a certain direction. It can't let life flow through it without it deciding what direction it needs to be going. The fact is, though, that the identity has no bearings to understand what direction anything is. And the more it tries, the more confused it gets. Then it alters itself, and it alters itself, and then it spins off copies of itself, and then you just got a head full of noise. If you really, to think about what the identity actually is, it's the noise in your head. It's the noise you make about the world, your perception of it, the way you're going to look at it, the way you're going to participate in the situations that arise in your life. how you're going to react, how you're going to behave, whether you're going to be offended or be defensive, whether you're going to run away, or whether you're going to actually acknowledge things. There's no way for the identity to understand the truth about who we are. Just no way. There's no thought that will actually bring you into the fullness of life to understand what that is. The fullness of what this is looking out of the eyeballs, what this actually is. Not what can I do with it. The I doing anything with it is the identity. It does itself. And you as a presence there, it's best to just let it do its thing. And you just witness it, and when it calls upon you to participate, you jump into that willingly. Instead of, creating this identity that talks of all this stuff that's so wonderful about themselves and can never live up to it. Sets these high goals that it can never achieve. Right? And then just gives up on it. And is easily distracted when another identity comes wandering in. Right? We have to figure out, if we're going to be beings that grow, evolve, then there's got to be some rooted foundation somewhere that's solid. And that will never be in the identity and what we make ourselves to be today and tomorrow and the dress up and all the playing we do. There has to be a foundation that can sit on, that has integrity. That has to be so solid that you can actually, have something, it can house something without collapsing. That's a super important part of being alive. That you have that foundation is presence, right? And then the next thing to look at is how do you behave in the world? What exactly are you attempting to do? And what does that have to do with the foundation that is you? The minute you open your mind to that, thinking doesn't help. It just ties you in knots. So the mind starts taking on a different aspect. The mind used by an identity is conjuring, figuring, hashing things out, trying to figure out ways around responsibility. To where the presence, it's able to respond because it's present. There's actually a living thing there. Right? The mind says, oh, this is how we should respond. Yeah, but the mind's not the one that has any ability to respond. Nor does the identity. That's why all the talk between it's like, we can't figure out our problems because you're not really clear what they are. So the identity is always kind of tarnishing everything. Right? To where the presence just sees the situation. It feels what's in it. And its ultimate intention would be to bring symmetry and harmony back to that thing. So it flows in the universe like everything flows perfectly in the universe. To bring it back to that. Right? You could call it your soul. Maybe that's really the better word for it. Is that a religious belief thing? You could be, but we are looking at eyeballs. There is something there that's animated, perceiving the world, partaking in the world. There's something there. Doesn't matter what you call it. Call it soul, call it mind, call it whatever. Well, that's the essence that's alive, regardless of what we call it. Even essence, it's self-evident. Right? It doesn't need to look at itself and wonder if it actually exists. Or wonders if it's actually doing it right. It's just streaming through you. That's you. Well, what you call you, that's really what you are, is the life force that animates you and streams through you. Now, when you go to do something with that, you're removing it from reality. And you're creating like a whole narrative that it exists in. You're choosing to go into your own reality. Which, it's fine. There's no law against doing that. But the minute you go into your reality, the only thing that's going to back that up is you. You and the people who want to be part of it and agree with you. Right? And then follow those things. But that's not real. You are what's looking out of the eyeballs. There's no need to have any discussion about that. It's obvious. Have you ever considered what that is first? And what its importance actually is? What is its desire? What is its thing to do here? What is it wanting to do? Before you exist, before you even come into play. Right? This to me is like the discipline that would be absolutely necessary if anybody's going to even consider taking a spiritual path of whatever that even means. To raise that consciousness up, you can't use it in the state it's in. So there has to be an acknowledgement of what that is prior to you doing anything with it. What is this thing looking out of my eyeballs? Have I taken it seriously? Is it intelligence in the universe itself? What is this? How do I work with this? I mean, if you have an identity, that's where you have to start. If you've built an identity that has beliefs and structures, here's a good way to know if you have an identity. You walk into a place and you look at somebody and you're immediately repulsed. Ugh! That's your identity. No, that person had a bad vibe. Your identity says that person had a bad vibe. The presence only notices what's necessary for it. It doesn't need to have its nose anywhere else. Right? So if we're going to carry an identity, we have to be responsible for what it's doing. So if it's basically running around telling a lot of tall tales, if it's running around being false in the way it's behaving, saying one thing in social media and acting completely different when the cameras aren't on, that's delusional behavior. Right? There's identities running amok. Right? So I've been, really staring down this rabbit hole for 30 years, with some very profound teachers in my midst helping me with it. And to stare into the abyss is really to stare into your own soul. But it's not an abyss. It's a well. Right? It's just the identity only sees the whole. It doesn't see what's in it. It doesn't. In order to comprehend, you have to be alive. Comprehension only happens in something alive. The identity is not alive. It's a conglomerate of, again, opinions, behaviors, ideas, prejudices, fears, phobias, all of it. Why these people are good and those people aren't. It's always kind of weighing everything all the time. Never stops. Needs more, wants more, doesn't know how to get more, is afraid of learning anything. Well, it's afraid of learning anything because ultimately, if it tries, it's going to realize it can't learn. It learns like Google learns. It learns like AI learns. Doesn't learn like a present being does. Which means, really, it doesn't evolve. Your identity will not evolve. It's not alive. It can't evolve. It's where it's at. That's what it's going to be. It's going to change clothes. It's going to use different lingo. It's going to go to different groups, different meetings. Try this, try that, try this, try that. Hit the buffet of life experience, but nothing is ever going to come of it. Because the one doing that isn't alive. That's an idea of where to go. The one being alive, that is actually the end life force streaming through you, if you just look at it, you can see where it's headed. You don't have to think about it or what's my life about? What am I going to do with my life? If you just look in front of you, instead of building this identity by looking at the past all the time and what has happened and what could happen, and just literally stare into the future, which is out in front of you, literally, and just let the life force stream into it. What is it? determine the future is. Have you ever wondered about that? Because to me, the minute you put that identity down, you're off and running. And you know, it's taken me a long time to figure out exactly what is the right mixture of activity, thought, behavior, desire, motivation, that you keep the foundation stable so it's not rocking. And how do you get that to be pragmatic and applicable to daily life in such a way that nothing is left undone? So when the quote-unquote spirit comes to visit you and take you into higher realms and show you things, that you actually have the time for it, and you have the capacity for it, and you have that's perfect time for this. So what the identity cannot do, and will never be able to do, is manage how you spend your energy on a daily basis. Because it's not your identity using the energy. Right? It's the identity that's manipulating the energy out of the being for this kind of thing it wants to do. Right? And, you know, a lot of my teachers were like, you need to learn how to, you know how to do, now learn how to not do. Which isn't like cutting yourself off from activity. It's cutting things off from your energy. So you're not pouring your life into it. That you're clearly stepping back, just observing it. Right? And letting that energy coalesce and build, especially if what's out in front of you, if it's got a big question mark on it or a big giant maybe, well, then maybe it's better to keep the energy inside of you so the being can have a clear perception of what it's seeing before it agrees to anything. So there's like a sense of discipline that comes with removing identity as an obstacle. It's not, no. The discipline is tracking your behavior. Tracking like, okay, I do this and this happens. And do it enough that you're convinced that, when I do this, this is what happens. So you don't have to think about what happens. You know. Right? The identity is not going to have that. The minute some faulty thing happens with the identity, it's got a million excuses and reasons, and it's going to bury the truth of what's actually going on so it looks better because it has nothing to live for because it's not alive. So all it craves is attention. It craves energy from others. Please pray for me. I'm in bad shape. Pray for yourself. You got the life force. Everybody's throwing it around. Oh, I'm throwing it to this cause, that person, this cause. Throw it into yourself. See what's really going on out here. Then make your choices of where to invest it. But just throwing it around like it's, spare change, it's not. You're throwing life force out. Make no mistake about it. Life force inside of you is life force. It's sacred, awesome life force. The minute you use that outside of yourself, that's attention. And that has a whole different reason for being. Right? That's attention. You're paying attention to things. Right? You can't engage anything unless you give it attention. Well, what is attention? Attention is the life force that's animating you, is it not? It's just extended out, and now you're giving attention to someone or something. Right? Don't do that haphazardly. Right? When people go, I need your help, you don't buy into it right away. Do you? Do you actually want it? Or is that going to be too much for you? There's got to be a recognition of what's actually going on in front of you, regardless of how this identity, this thought process, this thought form, this pattern feels about it. Because it's not even really feeling anything. It doesn't feel. It's projecting emotion into things. Right? Because emotions are thoughts so heavily charged that they burst as energy inside of you, which is emotion, really. It's not presence. It's not life force. If it's life force, it's tainted. It's gotten a little toxic, right? Because they just overwhelm you, and then the mind reel goes. I mean, that's how you know whether, okay, am I having a genuine feeling of presence, or is this an identity manipulating me? Well, do you have emotions? If that's the case, then it's your identity manipulating you. Because you're going to feel them at a certain frequency. You're going to pick the frequency you're going to feel that energy at. All energy can vibrate at all frequencies. If that makes any sense to you. If you feel life force more abundantly, well, that's presence. It doesn't have sad, happy. It doesn't have that. The identity has that. It has this thing of going, that's the energy. It's this. That's because of this. That's because of that. That's because of this. That's because of that. How do you actually work with the energy when you're just doing that? When you're just trying to see, what's the point in here? Well, then how do you work with it? You're just kind of pointing at it. Oh, well, yeah, the reason that happened is because of this. Oh, yeah, it was feeling that way, but because of this. It's like just turning... the identity is always brushing away what needs to be addressed. It's always marginalizing it, reducing its impact. So it can maintain this kind of state where everything's okay. Which no one is. I mean, that's just true. I see it. I feel I can be in it. I can watch it. Shit, I'm a human being. Of course I know it. I know how hard being alive is right now. I know how fucking terrifying it is. To the being, let alone the identity. At least the being knows what's going on. The identity's making up shit left and right about what's going on without actually allowing the presence to tell it what's going on. You know, if you want to have an identity in the world, the healthiest one to have is make sure it's informed by what's looking out of your eyeballs. Don't let it be informed by anything around you. Because you might be basically being informed by someone else's delusion. And that happens a lot, right? Especially these little spiritual communities popping up everywhere. It's like a self-importance festival. What are your superpowers? It's like, what? What's your vision for the world? It's like, shit, I can barely figure out what it is. What do you mean vision for it? I'm just trying to be in it, and be in it and be okay and not lose my life force to it. Not feel like my soul is drained out and I've just got this thing trying to figure everything out all the time. I mean, to me, there's nothing more annoying than the one in you that's got to figure everything out. That person is boring. It's like there's a lot of things that identity is trying to figure out that doesn't even need to be thought about. It's let what is self-evident be self-evident, and don't let the identity morph that into something else. It's not smart. Identity is going to be with you for, if you keep one up, 80 years, 90 years, maybe 100. That's it, and it's done. And the presence you actually are goes on. But who you think you are in this world, it goes, when you take your last breath, it doesn't exist anymore. At all. It's not real. The only thing that can exist is what's real. And the ideas we have about the world, ourselves, these situations, that situation, what's going on here, what's going on there, what's going on in the world, what's going on with our money, what's going on in Ukraine, what's going on with COVID. None of it's going to help. Even if you figure it out. The identity, the mind, the thoughts. Oh yeah, I've got a great model for what's happening. Well, tell me, does that model have any capacity to activate your soul? To activate your ability to go, wait a minute. I'm alive. Ooh, this is weird. To really feel alive. You're looking at eyeballs, okay. Where am I looking at the world from? Where's this coming from? This thing that's looking at eyeballs, animating the body. I can feel it, in the body. And I can feel the body laid over it, maybe, or inside of it. But what is that? And where's that coming from? Who made that show up? Because I don't feel like I had anything to do with it. I'm here. I had nothing to do with it. And I'm sorry I'm in your world. I had nothing to do with it. There's just a presence here. And it, did like every other human being does. It accumulated all these little things. Some of them weren't so good. Some of them were all right. And some of them were pretty cool. And accumulated it all and made a mask out of it. Well, hi, this is me. And of course we all did that. But instead of using life force to do this stuff, I find it far more interesting to try to understand what that actually is. And when I say understand, I don't mean think about and have beliefs and have all kinds of philosophies about. I mean, actually, be okay with, let's just try it. Look at your eyeballs. Try this. Just look out of your eyeballs. Trace to where it is you're looking at the world, what point you're looking at it from. Where is your point of origin that's looking through the eyeballs? Can you say where it is? Do you know what that is? But it's obvious that it's happening. Okay, it's obvious it's happening. I have no fucking idea how. And I have no idea where it's looking from. There's no... What the identity wants to do, what the ego wants to do is write a story about that. And to be basically a spiritual person, I guess, or one that evolves, one that stays connected with life, you don't write a story about that. You just let it be what it is, and you are present with it, and you participate with it. Right? And most of the time, it doesn't need your input. Most of the time. The thing looking out of my eyeballs rarely needs my input. It allows me time to have an identity to mingle with people. But I'm more interested, although I know nothing about it. I had no factual things about what's looking out of the eyeballs and where it's looking from and how it's animating me and everyone around. And that when it stops doing that, the body drops and rots. I have no knowledge about what all that is. And I don't think it's about trying to figure out what that is. I think it's about having, the being itself, the presence itself, is looking for a way to be its genuine presence, what that is, in this world. Instead of being tainted by it and feeling like you're forced into having an identity that has to have a sense of duty to nation, to family, to, whatever. That thing. How to shoo, and just remain the presence. Instead of having this thing move in and cause that to be an issue, a problem in life. That becomes a problem. And anyone who really looks at themselves, honestly, realizes, I have one problem in my life. It's the fact that I have an identity that I've chosen to invest so much life force in that I don't even know what's propelling any of it anymore. I don't even know what its source of life is coming from anymore. It's just happening. And there's no me there as an intermediary between what's coming through me as life force and how I'm going to engage the world with that. Do I engage it as an entitled white dude? Just... do I engage it as a victim? Do I manipulate my identity in such a way that people don't know what to do with me, which gives me the upper hand? It seems manipulative. It doesn't seem real to me. It doesn't seem like it needs to exist. And I found that, for me and most of the people I've ever talked to and really, we had a clear conversation about it, their suffering is their identity. There's nothing that's suffering in their life other than their identity. Right? And then the way they associate with the things that go on in their life. like the presence cares. It doesn't. It just doesn't. It goes through all the things. It's been going through all the things forever. It's the identity that feels, victimized, brutalized, terrorized, not understood, treated unfairly. The being inside doesn't understand. It's not that it doesn't understand. It has no. Those things have no effect on it. So to me, it's like if people are liberated, well, liberated from what? Being in the prison of their own identity. But this stream of consciousness moving through them is infinite and unlimited. And it can go all over the place and be all kinds of things. And to take none of it all that seriously and be able to put something down as easily as it picked it up. That, to me, that's what it seems like it is. It's the buoyancy inside. It's not, it's like, oh, well, then what? You just go do whatever you want? It doesn't act reckless. That stream of presence that comes through you, that's not the reckless one inside of you. That's not the one that's creating the problems at all. It's, and it's like the identity is like, turns to basically the soul and looks at it and goes, if you weren't here, none of this would be a problem. Mm-hmm. But the problem doesn't realize you wouldn't be here either. So, you kind of need it as much as you want it to. It's a taboo subject. We don't really understand it. Let's just put that over. Here's my shiny identity. We're not going to talk about all that influence and what all that. I don't know what any of that is. You can't just shelve that and think the identity is going to somehow carry you through life and you're going to remain unaffected by it all. It's not going to happen. You're going to crash. You're going to burn.
Why does every human being have a propensity, though, to fall into an identity?
See, I think it's not a propensity. That's we want to look to the human as the flawed one. The human is flawed. That's why they're behaving this way. That's kind of like saying, a guy got his leg blown off and you're watching him walk down the street. It's like, dude, why is that guy walking so funny? When he had his leg blown off. Yeah. So it's not that we have a propensity to it or a desire for it. The desire is something conjured up inside of us. I mean, I've said it before. I think the Western mind, so you people go down to Peru, okay, and they want to go drink ayahuasca, and they're totally terrified of brujeria and having witchcraft, and they're going to do something to me. I mean, there's going to obviously be your characters down there that are just doing it for. One, just as a business. I mean, Peruvians, Brazilians, Colombians. I mean, not all of them are doing it for genuine reasons either. So a lot of it's just, let's get some money out of the tourists. We've all met them, several of them, on our little adventures to Peru, and abroad. You can see what that is. And then you got the genuine ones. How do I make a point in this? Because it's poignant. That witchcraft that's going on down there, you got to be pretty dumb and susceptible to fall for it.
Yeah.
And none of them are really pushing it that far. For one, no one really knows how to do that much anymore. Right? I mean, the masters of the dark fucking arts they're not in the jungles anymore. They're in the cities. They made that shit. That's their thing. I mean, like the Mayans, right? And the Aztecs. They were so what? They were so fucking brutal. They're chopping your head off. I mean, sodomizing young boys, ripping their fucking hearts out, holding it up in the air, chopping their head off and throwing it down a pyramid. Just doing that. So there's none of that's really happening anymore in that sense. Where the dark arts have gone, where that dark, manipulation, brujeria has gone, is into the modern world.
Yeah.
Right? So, to me, the Western world, which is really the modern world, the way that we're all kind of coagulating together in these little weird tribes, and this tribe against that tribe, and, it's kind of like battling for supremacy kind of thing. The dark arts found their way into how to manipulate societies. So, it's like people are like, oh, I'm afraid of the sorcery down in the jungle. It's spooky. I'm like, you here in the West are under the darkest form of sorcery the world's ever known. You constantly have narratives shoved down your damn throat about everything, everybody, everything that goes on just comes and goes, in and out, in and out. It's like just a receptacle for fucking shock and awe, shock and awe, shock and awe, shock. Fear, shock, awe, fear, shock, awe. Right? And people don't see that as sorcery. But think about it. Okay, so let's just say that what can be construed as evil, for one, it needs an audience. And the fact that it doesn't really have physical presence, it has to manipulate anything in physical presence to get into the physical world. Make sense? Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it needs to influence.
Well, so you're saying like if a murderer is going on as a tyrant role of killing people, that's not coming from him because it's being.
There's no him there. Again, the identity is not real, right? And we kind of, a lot of people create this identity to resist evil, but they don't realize the identity is the evil. It's the thing that separates itself from life and then says it understands it.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You can't separate anything here. It's like there's one giant bubble containing everything. There's no way to separate it beyond that. I mean, you can, mentally draw lines. You can conceptually do that. You can go through some mental gymnastics where you block bad thoughts. But the feeling is really what you got to deal with. The impulse for, basically wrecking your own train. And really, that's what evil is. Evil isn't, I'm going to get you. Evil is, I'm going to get inside of you and watch you consume yourself. And the way you're going to consume yourself is I'm going to give you this inclination to have an identity that's important in the world. And it's not supposed to be bothered with cleaning a toilet, mowing the yard, picking up any garbage. It's just to be pampered. And we're going to build this to where you're going to be this class that has no responsibility but demands respect, but shows nothing in the world that deserves either one of them. And that's how it plays. And the minute someone decides they are seeking advantage, what's looking out of your eyeballs? It's not seeking any advantage. It's just living. It's just being. It's not hurting you. It's not fucking you over. You're doing that to yourself. The identity is a creation within you that's basically a spell put on you. I mean, people are going to think that's the nuttiest thing I've ever heard. No, your identity is a spell that was cast on you. Did you participate with that? Because if you did, well, then you've got some responsibility there. Or was dark magic performed on you at a very early age by people that didn't even know they were doing it?
Yeah.
Well, it's like, which one is this? Are you responsible for the darkness in you, or was it in... I mean, that's the only thing you really got to figure out. As a being, if the presence within you, you'll know when it's doing well. Because when it's doing well, you have no questions about life. It's like the state of pure presence is the place beyond question. And a place beyond question, you don't have to question. Right? Pretty obvious. We've all been there in a state. It's not like it's, I made it to heaven. Well, yeah, I mean, you got to sniff it before you got yanked back into your bullshit. You sniffed it for a second, and then you're like, the bullshit is so important, and back you went. Because the identity, if it's got the gravity in you, man, it's got the reins. The minute it sees something that causes you to turn attention away from this identity you got to maintain to this freedom, it feels really threatened. Because any identity you're carrying requires your life force to prop it up. If you just sat there, there's no identity. There's just not. It's like, who's that guy? Well, I don't know. Why is he just sitting there? I don't know. Who is he? I don't know. You have no identity. Wait, why is he doing that? I don't know. And just sit there. Just sitting there. There's no identity. Right? That's why people hate it up here. You're like, oh, I want to come up and be up in the mountains up there. Yeah? What do you think that identity is going to do in the woods? Except for come apart. What do you think it's going to do? It's going to come apart at some point. You can
there's nothing there to prop it up.
Get on the internet and prop it up. Hold it together. But the minute you walk out into nature, your identity, that's the awkward feeling in you. It's the fear in you. It's like, I don't know what to do here. It's like, yeah, because there's no place for you here. Where you go out in the woods and you need to survive, the identity you carry around, tell me what use it is.
It's not going to be all.
At all.
No, the mountain lion doesn't give a fuck.
Nor does the snow, nor does the water, nothing does. Nothing is going to, and people are like, oh, but, spirit will bring it to me. And it's like, what are you talking about? What exactly are you talking about? If anything, it's going to feel sorry for your stupidity and bring you some grace.
Yeah.
But it's not like it's going to look out for you. It's just like, oh, God, that's the most retarded thing I've ever seen. You do that, you're going to die. Here, let me just bring someone with food here, there. Just feed him. Jeez. Figure it out, kid. So, hey, then you're left to go, shit, I got to figure it out. That happens all the time.
Oh, yeah.
But really, I think, for me, why do people create these identities? And, we're all kind of feeling like we have to. That it's our obligation. Well, dark sorcery always needs you to feel a sense of obligation, right? You have to. It's very much that way. It's kind of like an authoritarian government. You're obligated to think these things, to live this way, to treat those people this way and those people that way. You're obligated to do that. And if you don't do it the way we say you are supposed to do it, you don't have to have anybody come to your house. You don't have to have anybody even tweet about you. You're going to feel that from all of those people trying to bring you back in line. You'll feel it. That's why it's like, these guys out there that are really making noise and getting a lot of negative attention on them. That's sorcery. You're watching witchcraft happen in real time. What is witchcraft? If I can take one person that I don't like and do not want his influence in the world, if I can go to a group of people by means, that we have now and turn everybody's attention against that person, to everybody having a negative opinion about this person, I can literally crush that person with my minions. That's fucking sorcery. There's nothing more than that. It's just rudimentary sorcery, right? It's the kind that is manipulative, and it's the reason it's evil and dark is if you look at it, it's craving existence.
Like it needs a thrill to feel alive.
It's not alive.
Right.
So what it needs is a situation that is so that it feels like it starts to think it's feeling something, right? And it's going to manipulate your life force, and that's really what it wants. I mean, I don't know if people understand it or not, but being alive is like the most valuable thing in the universe.
Well, if you don't have your life, then you don't have existence from as far as we can tell.
Right, you can't value anything.
Yeah.
So the most valuable thing you have is your existence. Do you think you're the only one who finds it valuable? What if there's beings that don't have bodies, but real bad temperament? Real sinister fucking images about what it wants to see happen in the world. Right? What if that's there, floating around?
Well, then how would people know?
Yeah, how would they know?
Yeah.
If it doesn't have a body, it doesn't have a smell, it doesn't have a presence of its own,
Yeah.
then how would you even know? Right? So how do they actually get here to become the identity of somebody? Right? Thoughts.
Yeah, your mind.
Thoughts. It's like if first they get you addicted to what you think is real. That's the biggest. And maturity is realizing that what you think is not real. That's maturity. Maturity is coming to that point where you realize that everything you think, no matter how precise those thoughts are, that is not life.
Yeah.
Right? It's something that is more of an entertainment to poke around at life. But that's not life itself. The idea of it is not it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but the identity, right? Those things without bodies, they need to have a sense of corporealness, which means they've got to have an agenda in there. There's got to be, you must pay attention to this. You must pay attention to this. You must pay attention to me. Otherwise, I don't exist in your world.
Yeah.
So it's like the identity is kind of a manipulation of thought. Right? It's like, how would I put it? So let's just, use a word just to cover it. Let's just use the word demon, right? So a demon to me, okay, let's just say, it's not a ooga booga, oh my God,
Well, that's the problem when you use that word. Is that
yeah, it has a lot of connotations.
Yeah.
Let's just have a simple definition for it. A demon is anything that causes your well-being and your presence to diminish into distraction and disorder.
Chaos.
Well, it's chaos. I mean, chaos is chaos. If you're not being distracted by it, what difference does it make?
Yeah.
Right? So it's what causes, let's just say evil is what causes the distortion and the dwindling of life force within you, which then makes you feel needy for the world around you.
Yeah.
Right? Needy for the likes on Facebook, needy for the attention. And here, this is my angle mangles, this one. And there's still, what sucks is when the dudes start doing it. It's like, guys, come on. You need.
Well, they do it with the fancy cars and.
Don't go to Miami.
Yeah, there's an identity. What a mess exists behind that. What kind of mess exists behind that?
Well, those people are always surrounding themselves with other people.
Look at some of the people we know, right? Mm-hmm. That they put out this, my life is this shiny fifth dimensional, blah, 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 and they can't even figure out how to keep themselves warm.
Yeah.
It's like, really? And they're constantly complaining and worried about life. It's like, it's interesting. What you put on social media, that isn't really what's real about you at all. I mean, to me, it's super bizarre when you know those people, that you see what they're posting on Facebook, and you see the reality of what's actually going on, and you're like, you've gone insane. That you have really gone insane, that you think you can do both at the same time. That you can have this nefarious shit going on over here, but I'm a love and light person over here.
Well, it's like they're trying to hide that.
Right,
in themselves.
And it's not anything for us to get mad about or frustrated about. It's, at best, it's get some popcorn because it's going to be an interesting show. You try not to get too absorbed in the plot and start spilling your emotions all over the place due to someone else's nefarious behavior. I don't do that. It's like, to me, it's like, No, it's like, it's not that I don't notice nefarious behavior or, people going askew or, seeking advantage and whatever. I notice it. I just don't say anything about it most of the time. Unless, it's time to. Because, I tell someone something's going to cause them to run away. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not going to help anyway. Right? So just leave it. Watch. It's like the identity always wants to solve the problem now. To where the presence goes, well, it's not actually a problem. What it is a new form taking shape, manifesting in the world. And this is its growth process. It's not a problem. Right? But the identity is like, oh, I don't like the way that feels. That's a problem. So it's going to try to manipulate and change and influence. Manipulate, change, influence. that there's nothing that's actually going on there. But I mean, let's get back to that point of what causes the identity in the first place. Because the identity, to identify something, you must be separate from it. And the identity is the one that's trying to find itself. But the identity doesn't have a self, it's not real. So you can now, just look at the whole metaphysical New Age plant, but all of it. That whole movement is so distorted. I'm finding myself. Who's this I that's finding themselves? And where do you suppose you're going to find this myself? This I in you where is it going to find this self? Right? Where exactly? And so it's just, I'm on a spiritual journey, go to music festivals, and I do my ecstatic dance, and I It's like, are you at the festival? Because you seem to be right here. The self that you're looking for, I don't know if you notice, it's sitting there with you. It's causing you to be alive. This freedom you're looking for, it's you without a mess.
It's so simple, but we make it so complicated.
We don't make it so complicated. Right. It's not us doing that. That's the problem. And that's the only reason I'm actually doing any of this.
Yeah.
You're under attack. You just don't see it. It's like, okay, all right, it's conspiracy theory, we're under attack. Yeah, I don't want to listen to any of this. Which is where most people go, and that's fine. I don't mind. I'm not doing this. So you must believe me. Oh, we're all going to die. No. I don't think it's that. I think it's we're being invaded, and things are vying for life force. Yeah. Life force, it's... people think, life force is abundant in the universe. Energy is abundant in the universe. Life force is a whole different thing. Consciousness is selective. Consciousness itself is going to select where it's going to be as a walking, living, breathing thing. Because there's a whole lot of rocks out there that don't have life on them. So it's like what consciousness presence is, it's not really paying attention to that right now. It's doing this thing over here. So there's... I think really where consciousness is sitting here, it's about to destroy the identity. All the identities, whatever they are. Yours, your nations, all of it. All of it. You're all fucking out the window. It's like you have to understand how manipulative and how easy to manipulate identity is. But to manipulate presence is dark sorcery. So anytime the identity is going to spend life force for something the whole being doesn't need, you've got some shit going on. Who is that one stealing for shit it doesn't need? Right? Who's the one that's trying to get what it knows it needs without any effort on its part? Looking to have it handed to them by some benevolent dictator god. Well, God will bring me what I need. It's like, well, why don't you go do it? And it's like the identity is what stops you from doing hard work. It's the identity that stops you from really looking into what is going on within the consciousness you call yourself that is making it such a problem. Is it the world around you making that problem inside of you? The being is just present with it.
Yeah, it seems like the main tactic is avoidance.
For the identity.
Yeah.
To me, it's like the identity, if life force is brought to it as life force, it gets annihilated. But if life force is brought to the identity as attention, well, then it's going to be empowered. Right? If you bring life force to the identity, like the actual stream of life force to it, it just shoves it out of the fucking way. Boom! And just goes and does its thing. Right? But the minute the identity gets a hold of it, the whole process is completely different. Right? It's going to spin it out. It's going to run it out. It's going to run it into a rut. It's going to bake its noodle over it. It's going to go into confusion. Because how do you have an identity? Okay, if the identity is just a conglomerate of your experiences, your ideas, the advice you were given, the people you looked up to, whether you should have or not, is irrelevant. You did, so it's in there. All this influence sitting inside of you. Right? It's like that's not presence. That is, and the only way any of that is real is it has to have attention paid to it. It's the only way it can be active in your life. Your past is not active in your life unless you're dwelling in it, which means dragging it along, right? But, so it's kind of like this. It's like, well, the past just repeats itself. Actually, that's not true. The past is dragged into the present, reinvigorated, and continues. And it just traces its pattern throughout time. It's not that it repeats itself, it's that it's never actually dealt with. Right? The crimes of history have never really been dealt with. Then they just get repeated, reshuffled, renamed, repackaged in a whole new form of government. Here it comes again. We're kind of right there. It's like I think they're actually, the rulers of the world. They're probably at the point where it's like, I think we can try king and emperor again. I think that might work. That we could go King George and emperor, instead of prime minister and president, and secretary. It's like all the potency of that kind of demonic control really is what I look at it as. And it's not that these people are evil. It's not, they're evil in doing these things. No, it's their presence is not, there's not enough life force and well-being and energetic presence there to hold a line of integrity. So they can be invaded by all kinds of desires and, greed. All those things come in. The minute your life force drops below you feel okay, you are so susceptible to those fucking things. Right? You're susceptible to your lust and gluttony and greed and thievery and all kinds of things start to look really manageable when your energy's so low. Because you will suffer that. And it's like, is it the identity that's suffering? No, that's why the identity is evil. It's what's causing the suffering in you. Because it has we have to do this. There's times where, it's like your being just wants to be. And the identity is just screaming at you to go do something you don't want to do. Right? It's like, but you agreed to do it. It's like, yeah, but I can disagree to do it too. I still have that option. And no, you are committed. So anything that really requires a commitment from you, yeah, that ain't something to pay attention to. Because who are you to commit? Who is the identity that needs all these commitments? What is it? What's it even doing for you? It's like, so you can have a little thought that what you did was a good deed and now you're going to probably get something good happening to you because you did something good. That's just childish. There's just no reality to that. That's basically, I need my identity to be real. And all that is the identity inside of you going, you need to take me as real or I'll eat you alive.
Well, it looks for validation in the external world.
Inevitably, that's all identity can have. Because it is external from the world. Right? And it needs to be, feel like it has a place here. Right? So there's going to be, it needs to prop itself up. It needs to present itself in any way it can get attention. Right now, to me, I think, one of the bigger ones that is a door into, having everybody feel sorry for you is playing the victim. Well, this happened to me and that happened to me. It was unfair. It's like, I don't know how anybody's raised anymore. But, to me, there's nothing more powerful inside of us than self-responsibility. There just isn't. To me, the most powerful force a human being can have here is you have personal responsibility.
Well, nothing changes without responsibility.
Right. And then to me, so what does that mean, personal responsibility? Well, for one, it's the ability to respond to any situation that shows up in front of you. And the situation that shows up in front of you, yeah, life put that in front of you for some reason. So, if you let the presence engage it, you're going to go just fine. But if you're going to have an identity, well, then you're going to have a real hard learning experience with it. It's not going to go well. It's going to, that identity is going to, again, grab onto that, play with it, do what it wants with it, and throw you out the damn window. It's, again, the source of life, if you can call it that, for the identity, is going to be the attention it gets from others, right? And it's going to crave the attention it gets from others. But with you, the identity is going to demand, not nicely, your life force to prop it up. But to everybody else, it's going to act like a kind person. But to you, it's going to treat you like you're basically just a gas station and fill her up. And that's what it's going to, to what you are as presence. That's what it's going to do. It's seeking to drain your soul of every ounce of life force it has and actually steal your ability to realize that there is one and that it does elevate and that it does go beyond this dimension and that it does have a place here in this world as well as, infinity out there. The identity will never know what the real purpose of the thing that it thinks it is as a living being is doing here. But the being itself knows what it's doing here. The thing looking out of your eyeballs, it knows what's happening. It is not separate from the flow of energy in the universe. It is not separate from whatever Mother Earth is doing and how life is happening here. It is not separate from the environment. It is not separate from the climate. It is not separate from what is going on in the solar system. It's part of all that. And the movement humanity is going through is part of all that. The soul knows what that is. It's going to go through that no trouble. Why there is some element floating around in, possibly mental space that wants that to not happen, I don't know. That wants to make that a problem, something to stop, something to fix, something to heal, something to keep people from doing. Put your goddamn mask on and stay home. That thing, no more travel. We're going to take away your cars. Who? And it's like, who's trying to put the brakes on humanity actually, coming to figure out, oh my God. As stupid as this sounds, I can see this happening one day. Oh my God, did you know we're alive? Did you know, we're really actually alive. It's like, yeah. I've been knowing that for a long time. No, it's not an idea. We're actually living beings. Yeah. Of course we are. It's like, were you put to sleep into some dark sorcery? Did some dark bruja come in and whisper shit in your ears and you just went to sleep and started dreaming? And then and she put you from one dream to the next, to the next, to the next, so you don't know where the fuck you are. You don't know what's going on. This reality's colliding with that one, and this one's colliding with that one. I can't keep this one out, yet it's invading everything. The calamity. I think that's really what's happening to people. So, I can't do this. No, don't say that. Don't say that. Maybe if we could, as humans, go, okay, here's what we should do. Let's identify the fact that, okay, we got waves of just weirdo chaos, madness, craziness, overhyped sense of ego and self and identity, overhyped sense of brands and what they represent in the world and all of it. All of this, weird kind of, what would you call it, ideology around everything. Till we just recognize that it's bullshit. And that our real problem is that these waves of madness coming at us, we're not resilient enough to take. That we fall for it. We fall into it. We go fucking mad. Like today, I'm looking at this thing that's interesting. This lady's wearing her mask. I'm never taking my mask off. And you know what? Now I stay away from my kitchen because my stove is so dangerous. So are you going to fall for everything? Are you going to really make the thing looking out of your eyeballs, which is solid beyond your knowledge, And you're going to make that susceptible to this little bullshit going on. Really? Really? You're going to take all this that seriously that you're going to forget that you have presence inside of you that's part of this entire universe and flows with it just fine. You're going to choose to be this thing that's going to see it all as a problem, separate itself from it, and then just point at everything. It's like, why? What is that doing for anyone? It's like, to me, it's like you listen to a lot of these podcasts of current events. It's just, how many times do I have to really, really acknowledge there's a whole lot of bullshit going on in the world? Oh, yep. So a whole lot of bullshit going on. So a whole lot of bullshit going on in the world. Why does anyone need to think about any of that? Well, we need to do something. What are you going to do? Exactly. How are you going to change someone else's experience of the world? Right? To me, it's like, hey, if I'm living in shit squalor, right? And even if it's no fault of my own, if I yearn for something more, I'm going to leave that situation. But if I'm just going to give into it, to the identity of just being this victim in the world, well, yeah, the world will take care of you. You'll be the handicapped. You'll get here's your government check and go live in your, government paid housing and sit there and eat Cheese Whiz all day. I don't know. But that is not the thing that's taking you there and causing that life. That thing isn't alive. That's why that life is so destroyed. Because there's no life there. There's an identity that can't move outside of its parameters. And life is infinite. It's, the influences of life itself, the true connected life itself, it's everywhere. It's not limited in any way, right? I mean, you might be limited to your access to it, but it's not limited. And it doesn't mean you can do whatever you want and you can go wherever you want. No, the states of consciousness you can achieve and feel the presence of life force and that the sense of well-being that goes with each one, there's the value of life. To be able to reach those things. There's no limit to it. What's limited is the identity. Because it's data-based. It's data-built. What is an identity built out of? Your data. Yeah. Your data. Your really? Thoughts. What we consider data? Well, where'd you go to school? Or how are you influenced? What religion are you? What's your sexual orientation? Are you a man or a woman? What do you identify as? I mean, all of that shit. It's like that is going to obscure what the being present, the presence is. That's what it's there to do. Obscure the presence. Why? What is wrong with just being present? I mean, what are you going to do with it? Well, what humans do. Build shit, grow shit, eat shit, shit. You know what I mean? And you take a bath occasionally, find someone to hang out with, bump fuzzies with somebody, I don't know. Do the human thing. And make no importance to any of it. Well, there's a way you could do that that's much more sacred. Oh, please. I mean, I don't think people even understand what sacred is. I don't know what that means. What does that mean? I mean, sacred? If it is sacred, it's untouchable. That no matter how many thoughts and concepts and shit you pile on it and rituals you pile on it, you're never going to change it. It is what it is, and you can't touch it. You can be present with it, but you can't touch it. So that to me is like, that's where the mind has the problem. The mind needs to feel like it's grasping something. Yeah. You can't grasp life. How exactly do you do that? You can grasp an idea and furrow your brow and dig into your consciousness and plant that thought so deep. Oh, this thought is so important, I must write it down and think it every day, which will last about 20 minutes before you're done with it, and look at it until you have some weird day where melancholy takes reigns. You go through your trunk of old shit and you read it one day. Oh, I remember when I wrote that, Jay. And have some weird moment of reverie. That's all the identity can hope for. And the only place it's going to find traces of this self it's looking for is in its past, because it has no future. And it has no presence, because you have to be alive to have presence. And the identity is a fabrication. It truly is. It's manufactured. It's not real. And what I mean by not real is we're in a real world. The fact that things are alive, that they start small, get big, drop down, decompose, and here comes the next generation. Not going to a factory and build the next generation of this thing. It's the next gen. It's like, are you really giving like the connotations of life to objects? That sounds like a really dark form of sorcery. Why would you do that? Yeah. So, how does what would, if you were not present in the world but you wanted to be? You wanted to have some nasty, nefarious influence over humans for whatever reason, jealousy, hatred. 10,000 reasons for that. How do you suppose, without a body, you could show up here?
You'd have to be created.
Technology.
Yeah.
Technology is even what we're using. Yeah. Sometimes you have to steal the weapons from your enemies and use them against them.
But I mean, there's like...
You learn that.
Yeah. But there's some levels of technology, right? Like, I like my house warm.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it seems like there's some aspects of the mind that can benefit humans. It's just a tool that's improperly used most of the time.
If the mind is not obscured by the identity, it just takes care of what needs to be done.
Yeah.
It doesn't go beyond that. It only does what's necessary and then...
For life. Yeah.
Goes back to being alive. Doesn't need to continue and continue and continue. So, the technology to warm your house, a little pipe to get the shit out and a fire in there. Yeah. Go to heater. Okay, well, you go to that technology. Benefits humans. Right? Does it benefit any other life than the human inside of the house?
No.
So, what are we going to do in order to bring that back into balance where we're not here just taking?
Yeah.
Because the identity never considers the impact it's having on anything.
Oh, yeah.
When it needs, I need this, I need that, I need this, I need that Porsche. You think the identity, you think the presence of life itself needs the Porsche? No, it's the identity inside that knows it's not alive and it needs to be seen as something real and viable in the world. So you buy a Porsche so everybody looks at you and goes, I want to be like that guy. Well, that's an identity.
Right.
You're identifying with what you perceive as this is the right kind of guy to be. Which, it's funny. I mean, people have been doing that for years. It's failing now because you're just starting to find out that a lot of these people that everyone looked up to are freaks. And really have some pasts that we wouldn't tolerate them being in the position they are with the past they have. There's some people out there that are, trying to tell us all how to live that have probably had people killed. I don't know if that's the kind of person I want making my decisions, or making decisions for me. To me, it's like, I don't believe necessarily in anarchy. I mean, to me, that's just insane. To me, it's like, okay, here's where it's going to really come down is maybe we're going to be forced into the era of personal responsibility. And you're going to find that the identity can't do that. So if you go with the identity, you're going to have to enslave people and you're going to have to get them to go your direction, agree with you, believe what you believe, do what you say, accept the terminologies they need you to accept because they're going to die without your support.
That's a hungry identity.
Right? Because if you go into the era of self-responsibility, self-accountability, the identity can't do that. It has never been responsible for anything. It makes a mess and makes an excuse. It makes a mess and makes an excuse. It falls into a pit of despair and makes an excuse for it. It never actually accepts what energy is moving through it. It always kind of sees it as a fault and puts the blame somewhere else. It's never going to fall on the identity. Right? And half the time, when the identity is looking for someone to blame, it's you. And you're sitting there, oh, fuck, yeah, what is wrong with me? What is that? What's going on there? Other than the identities going, I hate you. You're not doing what I want you to do. You need to be doing this. You need to be doing that. You're not good enough. You need to be better.
Well, that only comes when you get attached to it. You get attached to that identity, and then it rips you up later. It's like a cyclical nature. The flip-flop to it.
So you have to try to figure out, okay, then what is it that causes you to be attached to that?
Yeah.
The identity itself is what causes you to be attached to it. There's no other thing out there.
Yeah.
There's presence, and there's you outside of that. There's you as presence, which is energy as it flows in the universe, part of the whole process of life itself, everywhere. There's you in that, right? But in order for you to have an identity where me and you are different, no, I don't agree with, whoop, you've got to be separated, which means if you're going to separate from any one thing in nature, you've separated from all of it, right? Because, and then it's like, well, I don't agree. It's not about agreeing. It's about understanding. Understanding where that person, if you're going to have a relationship with someone else, you should try to understand where they're coming from. Not agree with them. Never agree with them. That's why. They're whole propping up their life on their own. You don't need, you don't need to be in agreement with it. Otherwise, you're just, you're not a friend. You're basically, a guy that's coming in to prop up their identity in exchange. Maybe you'll prop mine up. Maybe if I give you props to your identity, you'll give me props to mine, and then we'll both be actual believable people. It's kind of like going to, a college, learning how to be a shaman and get your badge and have your little plaque on the wall that you finished shaman school.
Hope no one from New Ropa's watching.
Yeah. I'm going to shaman school. I'm going to learn how to be a shaman because, I identify with being a shaman. That's not actually even a thing. There is no reality to that at all. There are people who have presence and that have learned how, through either discipline or luck, I don't know how, mine's been through just hell on earth, who understand what the identity is, what its place in the world is, and it only gives it enough to function at the level it is actually functioning. It doesn't let it get a hot head, where that thing's going to take over everything. Like people, I want to be your life coach. It's like, well, how old are you? I'm 26. It's like, well, maybe you need to fucking live first before you become anyone's life coach. This is a little temporary thing you're going to do so you can afford your rent. Is that a real thing in the world? Or is that an identity that's trying to create some story about itself that it can sell to the world and we can all believe it and together? So that, to me, is what it looks like. I don't, maybe I'm being judgy and wrong and bad.
No, it always seems like it comes from a place of lack. Like, you'll see it with the really anti-gay people. And then behind the scenes, they're participating in very gay activities, right? Mm-hmm. So I feel like with a life coach, it's someone that probably doesn't feel like their life feels good.
The only identity I've ever had has been one that gets in trouble. Right? Because it's kind of gregarious. And I don't know. I mean, we're going to get in left field. That's fine. I don't care. The identity I have tends to, make me get, whoops. So, here's an example. Like we were just talking about. I'm sitting in this construction crew. I'm working in Telluride, right? Telluride, Colorado. There's this place called the Tea Club, right? This is a big condo complex, and the top floor is $2 million. And so we're working in there. So there's people living in the bottom floors that are finished. So those have all been moved into, furnished, and everybody's going about their business. So, you're in a really ritzy place. So all the construction workers, they had to be watched, monitored, and grouped away from the residents. So when they're working upstairs and they don't want anybody stealing anything, like going into somebody's place and stealing some jewelry or anything. So we were all forced to eat lunch together, all the trades, which, if you've ever done construction, it's some rough ass people. They're not the bright lights of the world necessarily, but they do put lights for the world, but they're not the bright light in the world. They bring light, but the different kind. So they're all sitting there, and I'm listening to them. They're all got these weird identities. I'm really tough. It's like, yeah, you're so tough. If you were so tough, why'd you need to drink 12 beers before you got to work? I would say shit like that. You're coming off tough, dude. You can't even go to work without 12 beers in you, or you shake. How is that tough? How are you strong? I don't understand what you mean. So I would be that guy. That's how my identity engaged everybody. It just was how it was. So we're all sitting around the circle, and they're all just being as homophobic as possible, just trashing gay people like mad. I'm sitting there listening to all of it, and then it goes quiet, and I said, the interesting thing about homophobia is they're not afraid of gays; they're afraid of the fact that they're gay.
Oh.
Right. So I just gotta sit there and watch everybody look at me, and I'm just like, okay. It got real hot in here real fast, and it seems like I've got, if there were guns in their hands, they'd all be aimed at me because, I just flattened it. So right after lunch, I get up, I walk downstairs, and one of the supervisors, can I talk to you for a minute? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I got to let you go, like right off the bat. It's like, that's what my identity did. It was like, I don't know. I don't really feel like I participated in it much. It's not like there was some scheme I came up with. I just always did what was in me to do. And whatever identity it made would just show me the real uselessness of the way we decided to live on this planet. Mm-hmm. How useless it is to development, to children, to love, to relationship, to family, to evolution, to learning new things beyond, having, these weird beliefs around it. These ideologies and, weird, twisted, cultish behavior. It's like I always wanted, it's like, I'm not into any of that. So it always showed me just the uselessness of most of the activity we've chosen to do and call important on this planet. There's really what the really important things you're doing as a human being is breathing air, drinking water, eating food, and getting rest. There's nothing outside of that is going to make your life as good as if you take those seriously. Like, you make sure the air you're breathing is clean as you can be. The water you're drinking is actually life-affirming and not full of shit trying to live off you. Trying to keep that stuff as clean as possible. That's what humans, all you really needed to do. Because, that... Again, it's like, well, this other stuff's important. Not if you're alive, it's not. If you're dead, if you're not alive, none of that can be important. So, get your priorities straight first. You think it's, I need to be this person. I need to achieve this state of consciousness. I need to do this many ceremonies. I need to be this guru, that life coach, this whatever. There's no value in it. Because you can't be any of those things unless you're alive. And unless your life is actually vital, you have vitality in it, you're kind of useless anyway. To yourself and to your family and to everything around you. If you don't have the energy to have some kind of vigor in this world, you're kind of useless. At least to, what life is. Life isn't stopping because people are acting like shit. It's not. The dog doesn't change from being a dog just because humans are being wacky. So what is, it's like, what are we really attempting to do here? What is the identity trying to do? What is it trying to achieve? Because everybody I know that's come through this door with a heavy identity, they end up puking it out or crying it out or screaming it out. They realize this thing's torturing you. It's not making you better. Mm. It's telling you that if you follow this narrative, this is what's going to happen. And it's like, yeah, but what's going to happen, the way it's presented and how it actually goes down, they're not alike. To where presence isn't promising you anything. It's already giving you everything. You're here. You're present. There's a you. Here you are. I'm scared. Most people are scared of that. Without an identity, marginalizing everything, toning it all down, and making these neat little niches, the important things in life. Well, I think, cats are really important. It's like, it's all important. Nothing is more important than anything else. It's all equal. If you're going to say, well, is there something more important than Other things, yeah, life itself, that's important. Nothing else is. Nothing. Right? So, but we need that. No, you don't. Well, you can't have babies outside of a hospital. It's like, well, how the hell did we do this for 1,000,000 years without it? How is it that we kept from being like really whacked out insane? Well, I don't know if we ever actually did, but how did we keep it going for so long? Human race came up without experts in it. Without these identities saying, let me tell you what you're going to do. We need to eat bugs. People need to stop eating animals and cows. You need to be vegan. All of it. You have to be love and light. You have to choose the right vibes, man. All of it is bullshit. It's all identity. It's all identity. All identity. And it's a mess. The true, I think, really, to be liberated from it is just be what is the life inside of you? What is that actually? Instead of like creating this identity that you need to go interact with the world with, maybe understand what the presence in you is. And is it intelligent? Have you figured that out yet? Is it what's actually alive? And that the body is like a vehicle for it. And that your body, that you call you, it really isn't you. You're animating it. What's your relationship to that aspect of yourself, which doesn't need any words to exist? Right? If you just sit there quietly, I can't know what kind of music you get into. You have to tell me that identity. Right? If you just sat there with a blank stare on your face, but I know what mood you're in, nope, you'd have to say that. Right? But you're still there and you're still present. That's obvious. Yeah. So that is the undeniable truth, is that you exist. Now be okay with existing. Furthermore, be okay with existing and not needing to know what it is, just knowing you're allowed to participate with it. And that if you don't know what's going on, maybe you're not the boss. Maybe the thing that's causing you to be alive, animating you, maybe that's the boss, prior to you doing anything or taking interest in anything or needing anything. Yeah. Can you, in the identity, if you're so sunk in it, dude, it's hell. The identity is hell because it's endless reflections, endless stories, endless narratives, endless, just on and on and on. Because it needs all that to feel like it exists. To where the being just needs. And I don't even know if that's what's keeping it up. I don't know. Maybe we just breathe for the novelty of doing something. Who knows if you even need what's in the air? Who knows what's causing you to be alive? What is animating the body? What is that? Because that goes without saying. You don't have to talk about it. It's there. But to need to know what it is, you can't be it and know what it is. You either are it or you're not in it. And the minute you're not it, you think you know what it is. But if you're being it, you don't know what it is. You're too busy being what it is to know what it is. I know, it's convoluted. It sounds fucking retarded.
It seems like to me it's like when you're trying to think about what it is, you're putting a filter between you and it.
You're putting like a something between you and it.
Yeah, exactly.
What is that thing? Right? And who's putting it there? Yeah. Because it turns out to be you, so who's putting it there? Who's putting you there? That's why it's like, how interesting, whatever the creator of this entire cosmos is. Yeah, it's way more clever than we are. Because, where we go, it just begins. Where our minds just pop because we had no idea how any of this is even possible. That's where that spirit starts. It starts where we're at the most confounded place.
Well, that's the silly part of the mind, is like trying to fit infinity into a box.
Yeah, the things keep you from presence. Do you know the things that you actually think you know keep you from actually being present? And the more you know about spirit, the less you're actually present with it. Right? It's kind of like someone asked me, it's like, what? So what is enlightenment? I said, well, are you seeing your life as a giant mystery you know nothing about? Yeah. Okay, enlightenment is being okay with not knowing that. Not knowing. Just being with it. It's like, well, what am I to trust? Your heartbeat. Trust your heartbeat. As long as it's there, you're not being forsaken. As long as your heart continues to beat and you continue to animate something, you feel presence, you're fine.
But the thing is that everybody, one day, their heart's not going to beat anymore.
It's funny that people will question their presence and whether it's real more than they'll question their thoughts, as if they're real. I mean, I see that a lot where people are so miffed about their actual life presence, what they are, what's looking out of their eyes, and less trustworthy of what that is than the crap they're making up in their head. They'll lean into the crap they make up their head as the God-enforced truth, but their presence remains this kind of thing they can't trust. And I see, you see that. It's like, well, what's the most important thing to have? Trust. Trust in what? In that the life force inside of you is not acting in the world to punish you. You don't understand what it is, and you act like a shit, and you force the understanding, which isn't real, and you're never okay with the presence of just life itself. It has to be something. There has to be someone involved. There has to be some shit going down, some activity, something, or I'm not pleased with it. It's like that's an identity. That's not life itself. I mean, how do you say it? The presence is satisfied with the presence that it is. There's nothing else it needs. So the minute you kind of go out in the world, it's like I feel like we were kind of tricked into having an identity. That to be separate and look at me shine. It's kind of the story of Satan, right? I mean that whatever that story is, it kind of plays into it. Wanted to be seen as something better than everything else. Wanted to be a better version of what it was. Wanted to go against what was necessary. It's almost like you kind of look at the devil's probably the most compassionate one. Right? The most there. You're going to be okay. I think it's more that than, yo, what the fuck are you doing? Get off your ass, you dumb shit. That seems to be to me more of that which will lift you to the heights. Is the one that's going to get under you and go, get off your ass, you dumbass. Why are you behaving that way? If you don't understand why you're behaving that way, you want to understand what life is, understand your behavior in it first, and then we'll talk. Not, oh, I've got your secrets. Let me tell you how to make your life better in 12 easy steps with 12 easy payments of $2,500. We have a year-long course that's going to teach you how to be more present in your own life, so you can be one with the fifth dimensional beings. For fuck's sake. It's like, where does any of this go? And what is wrong with just being? It's like it has to be being doing something. Yeah, we're all going to do something. To me, it's like anything I do this, it's as valuable as cutting firewood or sleeping or eating a meal. I don't look at things, in a sense of, well, this takes precedence over this. The only time anything takes precedence over anything else is when someone's like, fire. It's like, oh shit, we got to put out a fire. Yeah. And then, all things are dropped for that. But unless there's a fire, there's no reason to act like there's one. Right? So tame the behavior down and just be okay with being alive. Try that one on for size. Before you go making a fucking train wreck out of everything, Try being okay with just existing. Can you do that? How about instead of thinking about what it all is and being so confounded by what it all is, it's not like you need to think about it for it to exist. It's not like you need to call it up. You are already that. Just be present with what it's feeling. What is this going on inside? What's happening in here? And acknowledge it. Well, I don't like it. It's ugly. Well, you're the only one who's going to make it unugly by acknowledging it. So go acknowledge it and make it not ugly anymore. Change your behavior. It's like Carlos always said to me. Cristobal, the only thing you'll ever be able to change here is how you're going to behave in the world. You're not going to change the world. You're not going to change what it's going to do to you. You're not going to change what it's going to do to everybody. And you sure aren't going to change the way it rotates. The only thing you can change here is how you're going to behave in it. And that's up to you. Now, if you give the reins to the identity, it's going to make a shit show out of your life. Right? And Carlos, he had every opportunity to make a shit show out of his life. Every opportunity. Dude, there are people coming out of the woodwork, chasing him down. I'm looking for Carlos. I'm looking for Carlos. He could have totally went, goofy guru bullshit and fucking played it like a champ. And apparently, you go on the internet, he did do that. No. I mean, we can talk about that at a later date, but, there's a lot of nefarious shit that went on around. Carlos was not one to defend himself. He wasn't even in the public eye. I didn't give a shit. I'd ask him, like, there's weird shit being said about you on the internet. Yeah, who cares? It's like people are saying weird shit about you. They're talking about someone else. It ain't me. He was never the guy that I'm a guru. Never that guy. He was always the common man, the wisest one in the room, and he knew it, and everyone else knew it. But he spoke in such common terms, and he did not put himself elevated above anyone else. Just in his business, and that had a lot of impact on me. That's why I don't do any good at any of those gatherings, because it's like, you better be for real, because if not, it's gonna get real uncomfortable. Because I'm not gonna play with anyone. I'm not trying, to overlook their bullshit for, you must be really, no, I don't want to play the wise games. I don't. I mean, to me, it's like the only thing you can do as a human being, if you want to be a beneficial human being, try to get people to realize that all you're really doing is dealing with waves of madness you must resist. It's like I used to tell friends last year. So you got two things you got to do this year. Keep from losing your mind, and try to keep your friends from killing themselves. There you go. There's two things you got to do. Those are the most important things. Few of them failed miserably. But they almost made it, but they lost their minds, went right off the skids, into the self-important just stream of just the way they're going to define everything that's going on. And, oh my God, it's, really? Is life really that fucking complicated? That you're going to get your panties in a wad over every little thing that's said and done? It's like, it's like, do you realize you live in an insane world? Do you need to get your hairs up over everything you see? Guess what? What? That happened. Oh, okay. Well, that doesn't get a rise out of you? No, I've been risen enough by every other damn thing that's happening in the world. What difference does it make? And it kind of, hopefully it leads you to a place where, I wasn't here to fucking listen to a goddamn story about what life is. I wasn't here to listen to some authoritarian asshole tell me how I should live. I'm sure wasn't here to have some priest fucking stick his whatever in my whatever for a little bit of guru weirdo bullshit. No, none of that. Yeah, it's going on here. A mess is going on here. But that's not what I was doing here originally. And it's not what I'm doing here now. Living a life on earth, it has nothing to do with all that. I don't give a shit about any of it. It's like, yeah, go on with the mad circus. It's fine. Like Carlos used to tell me. Because I get really weirdo. But like, Carlos, what are we going to do about the world? Well, which world are you referring to? Cristobal. I'm like, well, the one we're in. He's like, well, there's 7 billion of them going on at once. So which one are you talking about? Yours, mine, his, hers, theirs, the conglomerate of weird people who think they agree on everything? Which one are you in? He's like, the world out there that you're so concerned about, it's not your world. Are you wanting any part of that? I'm like, no, it looks like trouble. It looks like a lot of hard work for nothing at all. I like the hard work of, having to figure things out on my own and being more independent is, not relying on, anybody else's ingenuity to have me eat. None of that, just try to figure it out, and maybe you live more frugally, which, if you're just doing food, water, shelter, and you're just kind of trying to learn how to be a good human being, it's not that expensive. It's really not, life is so expensive. Yeah, when you need a lot of shit, it is, but how much of that do you actually need? And how much of it is actually just giving you a distraction away from, what you really need to come to terms with is that, your identity can't tell you what life is. And even if it could, life is still happening in the way it's going to happen, and the identity doesn't have any say over that. It's just whether it's going to, cry itself to sleep or just man up and do it. It's about all it's got. And that it doesn't, it's not really part of being alive. It's like this thing that's talking about being alive. It's this thing that's describing how people are living their lives. But it's not, doesn't have anything to do with actually being alive. Right? The being does, the presence does. But it's not propping anything up. And so it's like, well, if I don't have this identity, then who am I? Well, what if that's not about who you are, but what you are? You are life itself streaming in from the universe. What more would you want to be? Something that's, not an important part, but an aspect of all of this life that goes on everywhere. You're like this little spot in it, in this infinite cosmos. Be that. And understand what that is instead of, well, I need to be a lawyer, I need to be a doctor, I need to be someone important in someone else's life. Any of that. Just try being the mystery that is you. Look within yourself. That's one of those cliches, right? Look within. Yeah, and be fucking, and when you do look within, understand it's a fucking terrifying view. You have no fucking idea what any of that is. Right? Because you don't have the all the words for what's in here. Right. You got the words for,
all the stuff out
what
there.
Is familiar. You have words for what you can identify with. But you can't identify with what you already are. Life itself. You can't identify with that. You know what I mean? Mm. Life itself doesn't separate from life itself so it can identify as life. There's none of that going on. The identity is basically fragmenting your consciousness and kind of spreading it real thin across a lot of things that ultimately aren't going to bring you anything because there's no power in any of it. You got little fragments and everything. So the only thing you can do when you fraction your consciousness out across identities is the more identities you have, the weaker each one of them are. Right? And the problem with the identity is when it gets weak and then it gets hungry, it turns wild. And it gnashes its teeth and starts acting out in ways that, just look at your world. There is no city that doesn't have some weird shit going on there right now. People butchering each other, murder, suicide, this guy's killing his wife, that guy's throwing his kids in a river. It's like, yo, you see where identity takes you. Well, it doesn't have to take you there. It will eventually. You just have a little resilience right now. Yeah. Right? And we think, oh, we're going to... What are you battling to do? Keep your identity? It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You should battle to get rid of it because it's a limitation and it's keeping you from freedom. Your identity is a prison. The door is your willingness to stay in it. Your willingness to take the identity that's going on in your mind so seriously that you'll drain your well-being and have feelings of anxiety and fear and depression because the identity is so goddamn important that I don't care how I feel as long as the identity is real and believed. So the actual thing that's alive is tortured by the identity in the end. There's no way around that. It's like, no, I'm chasing my bliss right into oblivion. Because, yeah, your soul's going to be dead tired by the time you're done with your shenanigans. It's just going to be dead tired. It won't be alive anymore. Hey, will you do me a favor? Grab that cacao up there, will you? Somebody who's close to it. I want some more of that. Cacao and mapacho. What an evening.
Lighter stealer hoarder over here.
Gracias.
De Nagas.
Oh, by the way, I mean, if there's anybody even watching, I'm not even paying attention to whether anybody's watching.
3 people watching.
Oh, well, there's 3 of them. Hey, you guys got a question? If there's any of this you want, like, hey, I'm a little fucking confused. Ask a question. We got someone sitting there. I'll answer it. I mean, we can, pretend like you're in the room if you want. Yeah. Hey, we can do anything. We're capable of pretending all kinds of things. We just have to be pretensive about it. We have to have pretension. I hope, for anybody out there listening to this, that it's, maybe making some kind of sense. Seem like it's making sense?
To me.
Well, then you might be in the same place.
I mean,
You
yeah.
just might be in crazy town.
I'm happy to.
Hey, whatever floats your boat. To me, it's like, as long as you got vitality, you must be doing it right. If you have false vitality, which is control over others, you got other people doing what you should be responsible for. That's not vitality. That's, you're too tired and weak to do it on your own.
Yeah.
It's like the idea of doing this, even. It's not to validate any identity. It's not to, I'm important in the world and I have an important message. It's just like, no, I'm on this goddamn boat too, and it's rocking, man. It's really rocking. The people are getting really weird, and I don't even know who's who anymore or what's what. People change their identity like they change their underwear. Probably more frequently.
Probably, I was just about to.
So, whoa, who are you today? Okay, who are you tomorrow? Okay, now what are you? Oh, okay, you're a girl now. Okay, I mean, please, I'm trying to keep up with this train you're on, but man, it seems like it's gone off the rails. To me, I don't know. Maybe it's a judgment. Maybe, I don't know. I don't feel too judgmental about it. It's not like I'm going to go out and start burning the place down. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you want to play in the sandbox, you're going to get some cat turds on you. That's just how it is. Society's a sandbox, and sometimes the cats come along and, this is a good place to shit, and you have to deal with it. I mean, that's the trade-off, right? You're trading presence for, acknowledgement in a world that's useless, really. I mean, it's going to kill itself anyway. You keep citifying like this and citifying and city and more. Yeah, you're just going to be like a rock with a bunch of products on it and nobody. So you turn the earth and there's just going to be a bunch of products floating around in the fucking sky. It's like, what's that? Well, it used to be earth, but they turned it into everything that they dreamt up. It's like, if we dream it up, we should be able to do it. Well, that's the identity grabbing the reins of your creativity. It's not. It's far more dangerous than anybody actually thinks. They put it on a pedestal. They want you to believe in it. They want you to agree with it. They want you to give it attention and, likes. And, oh, God, really. It's just a story you're telling. And that, life doesn't rely on your stories. Although your stories do rely on being alive.
Being alive, yeah.
So, it's like, what is the actual essence that's, alive inside of you? Is it really the identity that's got all the issues, the problems, the desires, the little mazes and the chaos it makes? Is that really what's living? The thing that's, getting freaked out about masks and this dilemma and that dilemma and oh God this and oh God that. Or, to me it's like the presence, the being is just watching it going. I didn't think this movie could get weirder, but it got a lot weirder. I think I need some cannabis on my popcorn. Because, this is getting a little out of hand. But, okay, let's just keep watching. Let's see where this is going. So, no, we must stop it. No. I'm not about to stop the flow of crazy life. I'm not. I wouldn't stop any flow of life force. Let it move. Let it do its thing. It's like the worst thing a human can do right now is get in the way of this cleansing that's going to take place. You just wipe this planet clean. Once again. Humans made a mess again, so it's going to just goodbye. No, that'll never happen. Really? Ask the Mayans. Oh, wait a minute, you can't. They're gone. How about ask the Romans? Oh, yeah, you can't. They're gone. What about the Royals? Yeah, they're gone too. They're just a little puppet mastery shit going on now. It's just, y'all are nefarious jackasses, and we all know that. Enjoy your royalty. I don't care. Have it. You want whatever you got to have it. there's nothing here. It's just weird. It's like you go through life letting less and less of the shit influence you. Less and less of the chaos influence you. Less and less of the fear influencing. Less and less of the feelings of FOMO's no longer thing. I don't have a fear of missing out. I have a joy of missing out. Call it JOMO. Joy of missing out. 'Cause you got FOMO, I got JOMO. Because I could miss out on all of it and it would be just fine. Because is it real life? And what is real life? I mean, it's like, is the identity really? I mean, it's not alive, so how does it understand what real life is? How does it even understand the impact it's going to have on anything? It just doesn't. It can't.
Right.
It doesn't understand its influence. It doesn't understand when it throws a screw in that energetic frequency that it's going to screw up a whole life. It doesn't notice that. The identity goes, oh, she's the one I want. And she could be the biggest monster in your life, he, she, whatever. Because both male and female have the capacity to be monsters. It's not like one has any fucking, primacy there. They both are equally going nuts. But it's just how are you going to go through? I mean, you get desire and then all this. The identity says, yeah, this woman, this is what I want. It turns out to be the biggest train wreck in your life. It's like, oh my god. 3 weeks later, it's like, oh my gosh, she's so crazy. It's like, but you were so madly in love, right? Because the identity doesn't know the truth. It only knows its proclivity, its desire, its wins. It doesn't have anything else. It doesn't have like a trajectory of dignity or growth or evolution or of stability. It's just, well, let's just do this now. Well, I don't want to do that. Let's do that now. Oh, you're boring now. I'm going over here now. And it's like a consumer of things other people did. To where the presence, it doesn't really give a shit what anyone's done. At all. It's never going to care. Why would it? It's not influenced by any of that. It goes on doing what it's always done, regardless of how you behave in it. Just because people behave poorly in life doesn't mean life is a bad thing. And we kind of look at it like it's a disease, right? That must be cured. Well, we can't have this in life. Well, that's part of life. What do you mean you can't have it? If you can't have that, you can't have life. Sorry. It's like, viruses. Oh, we can't have those. You are a virus. You're made of viruses. If there's no viruses, there's no you. So be careful what you decide to exterminate from this, biosphere, because you might be exterminating the very thing that causes you to be alive. One of the potential causes for you to be here. It could be something, because you're made of bacteria. And you gotta, you're just a conglomerate of a bunch of little moving things, little living things, little viruses, little bacteria. You're swinging around. That's what you are. So why be afraid of them? Well, this one could kill you. Yeah, they all could. You work with them in the wrong way and they're going to kill you. You got to understand, what you are in relation to everything else. And not, think about what you are. No, to know what you are as something relating within this, realm of life. There's no way for your identity to figure that out. It's like people think about, well, I don't know if I love her or not. Well, how is your mind having any say in that? How is that part of the identity at all? How is love even part of the makeup of the identity other than it uses that word so it can manipulate people to give it what it wants by saying, I love you. Please love me. I love you. It's retarded. Yeah. The presence itself is love. It's life. I mean, you can't have love without life, so it might as well be life. That flow of life force. I mean, what do we call that? I mean, it's a really gross word anymore, but, love worked for a while. Presence. It's not, I'm going to give it to you from one identity to the other. It's, love is the thing in us that's so secure, it doesn't have to take its own identity seriously, which means it doesn't have to take anyone else's identity seriously, which means identity is not really a serious matter, and it's not anything even to really consider if you're living inside of the universe. But if you're trying to live outside of it to and live by your own, design, well, hopefully you've got your God skills up to par to where you can make the world for yourself, because no one else is going to help you with that. And eventually you're going to realize it doesn't work and you're going to get depressed. You're either going to get depressed or you're going to get smart. You're going to stop buying, falling asleep to the dark sorcery of the world, all the influences that are going on. And you'll start listening to life inside of you, because, if you really want intelligence, it's already in you. You just got to shut up and listen to it. You can't let the identity have any access to it. And it won't come through as anything the identity could even grasp. The identity wouldn't even notice it was going on. Well, it would suddenly be like, what's happening to me? I feel like I'm not really existing much anymore. Yeah, because the presence has decided to take root and you're no longer welcome. Because, I think that's eventually what happens to people is the presence moves in, annihilates your identity. So how, it's like, what's one of the ways you can get rid of identity? How can you get free of the weird binds it puts you in and the weird trajectories that really are going nowhere? They're just spinning around in circles. How do you get off that, like, habit trail? And it's like, okay, so realizing that your identity is based on all past experience, you are always bringing it to the present moment, right? But you're bringing it to the present moment, and if you don't feel the gravity of it, you're just bringing it to the present moment. That's like putting food in a dog's bowl. It's going to go eat it. But, and the only place you could do it is in the present. If you bring your identity to the presence basically removes the identity and clears the field for something new to grow in it. So it's like, okay, so what would identities be then? I mean, if they have any importance in the world, they're like a snake skin. And as you grow, you got to shed it. And as you grow, you have to shed it. You shed. As you grow. You shed. The identity is what you're shedding. Right? It's like your memories, your past experiences, all the influence, that is the byproduct of being alive. If you take all that byproduct and you worship it, an identity arises out of that, and then that's what you live with. But that's kind of like worshiping the bowl instead of, like the biblical term, right? They were worshiping idols instead of the presence. Right. They were worshiping representations that they made of what that presence is, which is convenient for their and not actually truth itself. And so it's kind of like, how are you going to get to truth itself if the identity is completely terrified of what the truth is, which is that nobody knows where they are or what's actually going on or what the point of their life is or life itself. Does it have a point? Is it something that has an objective, or does the identity need it to have an objective so it cannot understand life outside of something objective? To where life just is. Has no objective. Right? So the only way to really engage is you have to step out of the identity. It's almost like you got to use rationality and reason and the identity and all the activity of it and burn it out, dull those tools to where they don't work anymore. And then you can embrace the mystery of being alive, which is terrifying. I mean, there's no way around that. Anybody who actually goes into it for real, not do a deep dive on the internet, a deep dive into the infinite universe that is them. I mean, that's terrifying. That's like, because you don't know what any of that is. Right. You don't know what's animating you. You don't know the point of it. You don't know the purpose of it. Hell, you don't even know where it is in the universe. You don't know if there's other life. You know nothing. Really, when it comes to what's looking out of your eyeballs, you know nothing about it. All you know is what it's looked at, but you don't know what's looking. So this is going to get confusing. So it's kind of like, okay, it's time for humans to take an in-breath, right? And come back into themselves and like readjust and go, okay, have you got a little delusional and let things get a little out of hand and, started putting values on things that don't actually have value and like using situations to try to make yourself feel better about the fact that you're terrified that you're alive. Maybe it's just time to take a deep breath, get a little maturity, and face the fear of your existential fear. Just face it. Just look at it. Don't let the identity tell you about it, because the identity is going to basically tell you that's your enemy and you need to get away from it. And the way you're going to get away from it is you're going to go to the club. You're going to get another girlfriend. You're going to get a new car. You're going to go back to school. You're going to get that job. You're going to, you're going to give that homeless guy some money. Expunge your sins that way. And so the minute the identity gets the reins of this life, it's over. It's going to crash it. It can't do anything else. It has no intention of doing anything else.
I mean, it can't navigate the ship.
Look at the rock star identity. Look how many fucking young, talented people that identity destroyed. That could have gone on to be like, really inspirational. Like their music really just rings your soul and makes you realize there is one. And that identity of rock star, that whole thing around it, it killed them. The wildness of it all. And it's like, that's the identity, right? That's when the devil gets to fucking take control of it. It's always, the devil's in the identity. It's always in the identity. It's never anywhere else. It's the thing that needs to be seen. Look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. Because if you're not looking at it, it doesn't exist. And the last thing, the devil wants is its existence ignored. Right? And I kind of wonder, it's like, does it feel like, just out of symbolic talk, I wonder if the devil is kind of upset that God doesn't recognize it for its specialness. That it just sees it as another molecule in the universe. And that, it doesn't need to give it any special attention. You have life force, which to me is pretty special attention. You have attention you can use. That's a gift. But what are you using it for? Are you using it to understand life and get rid of the fear of, trusting what life is doing through you, and that it's not going to throw you under the bus or send you to hell for something that you didn't even know you were doing? Can you be okay with the mystery that, okay, I got to wake up every morning and wake up to this thing looking out of my eyeballs? It's not always the most pleasant experience. Can I be okay with that? Can I actually be aware enough and quiet enough to understand why that feeling is present inside of me? And maybe it's serving a purpose my identity could never figure out. To me, it's like the minute you got to just be a slave to the identity and make sure nothing it doesn't like touches it. Yeah, you're too fucking delicate and fragile to exist in this universe. You're going to shatter. Where's the, to me, it's like the only thing you should have an identity in is resilience. That, okay, yeah, the world's going mad. Okay. I can be depressed about it. I can be upset about it. I can go crazy about how much everything costs and what I've got to do to make ends meet. Or I can just go, well, that's the way they want it. That's the way they want it. My soul has capacity to, meet that challenge without going crazy. Let's see if I can be the soul in this instead of the identity. Let's see if I can be the presence in this life and live it in a different way instead of this identity that's just like, you need to call me by these pronouns. Ah, you're a goddamn Republican, you fucking racist prick. It's like all of that. Just be able to avoid all of that because there's no maturity in any of it. No. It's like any of it. The identity doesn't know what maturity is. Maturity is something that happens to a being that grows and lives and it has a future. Not this luggage it's like baggage. It's not. You're just dragging it along. The identity is like this big fucking suitcase with broken wheels. You're just dragging it around with you. It's not alive. It's not living the life.
Right.
How can you have... you can hide in the suitcase and just be among the content and the identity and hide and justify all the weird fucking picadillos you go through. Or you can recognize that, I'm being a real shit and it just needs to stop. And then so, when the identity is, you know what you need to do? Yeah. Not listen to you. Shut the fuck up. Oh, I'm having a thought. Yeah. And now you're not. Here comes a thought and there it goes. And not get caught up in all of that shit to identify with on any level. Just be life itself. Don't identify with life in nature. Be it. You are it. It's not like it's saying you can't be part of it.
Right.
If you weren't supposed to be part of it, you wouldn't have a heartbeat. So it must, have a point of you being there. Whether you could understand that or not is irrelevant. There's a point for your being alive. If you can't figure it out, it's because, it's not an equation. It's life. And there is no you to figure it out. You are life itself. Stop trying to figure it out and pay attention to it. And you might see how it's playing, and you might become more intelligent and start to be able to understand patterns and cycles. And that patterns that are nefarious and should not be going on, you see the point where you can stop it and erase it and replace it if you want, or don't replace it and just go into the larger cycles of life and track those and not need this little mental circus going on all the time. Just, chop wood, carry water, pick up sticks. Go to bed at a decent hour, get some rest, get the body moving, be simple. I found that actually, and this will be the last thing we say, and then we'll just wrap this up, that the quickest way to those glorious higher states of consciousness is to not only simplify, but have a real strong sense of accountability for how you live your life here. And that you don't put off what needs to be done for something you want to do. Just always do what needs to be done. And when your identity comes up, I want to do this. You just go, oh, do you want to do that? Nice. And then don't do it. And just keep doing that and keep doing that. And you'll trim it down and trim it down. And what's interesting is the identity can never reach a higher state of consciousness. You have to be alive to reach consciousness. But the more you diminish its consumption of your life force, the more your life force acts as attention that you're giving to what is causing you to be alive, which causes you to be more alive. So you're actually evolving when you stop being an identity. The identity is the shutting down of the evolving of the being. Because the being is now just a gas tank for whatever fucking circus the identity wants to create. Right. A spiritual one, a fucking rough and tough one, a biker one, a churchy one, a really weird churchy one, a polyamory one, a fucking yoga one, all these little things. To not put any importance in any of that. Put importance in the presence that's actually in the world. It doesn't need that. The being does it, well, I need to do yoga. Who needs to do yoga? Well, it's good for my soul. You don't have a soul.
The soul has you.
The identity doesn't have a soul. It's not alive. So who is this you that's improving you? Wait a minute. How does a you improve you? Right? So the identity with all of its tricks up its sleeve to convince us that, trust me, give life force to this little proclivity I have and your life's going to be better. It's like, no, you're going to be more tired and wonder why the fuck you're doing this at some point. And it's like, well, so what do we do? Sit around and be lazy? Well, lazy is a funny word because it can also, there could be someone that's just totally okay with being alive and they don't feel like there's anything that needs to be done to improve upon it. Is that lazy? Or is lazy thinking that it's not good enough and you need to keep adding to it until you're so comfortable that you're just numb? So which one's the lazy one? Because to me, lazy is the person who is so full of activity and consumption and concern. And the laziness is they're too lazy to use their energy to understand the life they're living. So they're just making a mess out of everything. And thinking that there's going to be some truth that comes at some point. Doesn't come that way.
Right.
No, it just won't. You can't understand life through thinking about it. There's no understanding life. You're alive. You're not standing under it to understand it. You are it. So, I mean, it's like, why does it need, life doesn't need to understand itself. It is alive. It's not something separate that needs to understand what it is. It is what it is. There's no need for that. You know, but we create this mental need on who am I? What am I doing? Where am I going? How do I interact with people? How do I get the right woman? How do I get the right whatever? That person's never satisfied. And actually, look at when that identity gets what it wants. The minute it gets what it wants, it doesn't want that anymore. It wants something else. It's always going to want more. But the being doesn't have wants. It doesn't have desires. It has an appreciation and courage and strength to keep going with life, wherever it's going, and adjusting as it needs to be in that and to be harmonious in that. You know, I was like, well, doesn't mean you have to be a goody two-shoes. Violent storms are pretty cool to see. Sometimes people need to be a storm in the world, and it's a fucking, it's a crazy show, but there's an impact to it that's far beyond identity. That what you're seeing is like the character of the universe coming forward and going, yeah, boom. Not an identity playing with things. You know, to understand the difference. Like with Carlos and Joseph and a few of the others. It wasn't anything they knew that kept me around. Or even engaging them and giving them any attention, any kind of anything. It was presence. It had nothing to do with how smart they were, how literate they were, what they knew about the world. None of that mattered. It was this confidence and this surety they had. Not in anything they knew. In being very, very in close relationship with the presence that was them. So yes, there was an identity there. But the identity associated with the presence. Not things in the world. Right, so it was it's like, and you know, to me, I think, you know, if you're going to have an identity, try to have it be an exact replica of what the soul is, which is okay with being alive. And if you have that, then, you know, you got something that you can slip to the man on the way out. Here, here, have this identity. I've perfected it as best as I can. Don't take my life, just take this copy of it. If the identity, you know, I mean, maybe this is the point of being alive. The identity is trying to, the best it can come up with, and if it wants redemption and it wants to be ushered into a real world, it has to be an exact replica of what the actual soul is. Not some facsimile, not some, you know, surrogate thing. No, it has to be an exact replica of what it is. So what would that be? It has to behave as presence in the world instead of using presence to behave any fucking way it wants in the world. Because you do come to find out, identity or no identity, there's rules here. There's rules to being in this level of reality. There's rules to being in every dimension of life. Each one of them has their own rules. It's up to you to figure out what they are. And no identity will ever make sense out of any of them, and it'll only want to break them because it won't think it's fair. And it's like, it's not about being fair. It's about what is uncorruptible about life. That's where the rules apply. You're not corrupting this life. You're never going to. Those are the rules. You couldn't break them if you wanted to. But if you don't live by them, your life's going to suck. So call it discipline, call it simplifying your life, call it storing your energy, call it breaking bad habits. It's all the same thing. That you have to honor the life that's in you for it to grow. You can't be just using that as fuel for some bullshit ride you're taking, that your identity's taking you on. Because, you know, look at how many identities you've had since you were a kid. Right? All your tastes have changed. The people you're around have changed. But don't you remember when you were 13 in middle school and you were dating little Sarah. And God, if she doesn't love me, it's the end of my life. And it's like, you don't even remember her name anymore.
I just had to think. I'm like, what was her name? Oh yeah, Elizabeth. Right? Yeah, that was her name.
Yeah, and
Give me
it's
a
like,
second.
yeah, but you know, it's like, it's like, oh my God, she broke up with me. Yeah, and now it doesn't matter. So as you get older, just remember that plays. Nothing is any more important now than it was when you were 13. Anything you got going on, none of it's any more important than it was when you were 13. And how important was that? You don't even remember it. That's how important it is. You know, so there's your identity, and yeah, what are you gonna do with this goddamn thing? You know, so you know, we'll obviously talk about it more as we go on with this, because you know it's always going to be an aspect of it's the trap everybody's got to free themselves from. It's just that you know, I think you know the problem is people are going to think about it. Oh, I got to think about my identity. So you're going to create another identity that thinks about an identity. So you're going to use this identity to get rid of that identity. Well, then what are you going to kind of identity you going to get rid of the other one? Do you see how this can go on ad infinitum forever?
Dog chasing its tail.
Right. Just burn the
Inception.
Yeah. So you know, well, you know, if anybody has any questions, even after this, you know, we'll answer them. There is a Wide Awake in Babylon Facebook page. Just look up Wide Awake in Babylon. It's there. I haven't really put much on it yet because, you know, I'm not like gung ho. Let's build an empire. Nah, I just you know, I'm living life and I've got time, so this is what I'm going to do with it. But it's on there. You know, we've got it on. Like I said, we've got it on Spotify. Yeah, I mean, right now we're just kind of in the beginning of this. We'll see where it goes, and you know, whether people enjoy it or not, it's irrelevant. I'll do it anyway. Because who cares? I mean, I got nothing else to do. I don't really have much else to do, so you might as well enjoy it. But we'll continue to do this. We'll get into other topics. You know, we're going to try to keep it where the topic we're talking about, we don't stray too much, which is why I got to have people here with me, because I'll just go on, and we'll just go off on all kinds of little tangents everywhere. And, you know, it's got to be cohesive if it's going to be a podcast, right? So, you know, but we'll be putting up another one soon. This will be on Spotify tomorrow. If you're watching this on Facebook, can you just pop over to Spotify, just give it a like, you know, just boost it a little bit. I mean, you know, whether or not this goes anywhere, we'll see. I mean, who knows? You know, like I said, I won't stop doing it, but, you know, we'll see if there's any interest in it. I mean, it's going to be challenging. I mean, you know, I know I'm going to say things that people don't agree with. That's obvious. But I want to get into, you know, what courage is, what strength is, how this applies, and how the identity doesn't have any of it. Pretends to have something the soul owns. That's what I would say. So, yeah, we'll go into this again. Eventually, we'll have some other guests as well. We'll have other people sitting in. If you're out there and you want to, you know, hey, I want to sit in on this, understand that if you sit in on it, you have to be in front of the camera. You can't be sitting back there. This is not going to be an audience. If you want to jump in on it, you jump in on it. We're going to come up with ways that you can jump in on it, you know, through watching it. You know, I would really like this to be live, you know, all the time, even anywhere we do it. So questions can come in and we can answer them so people aren't sitting on them. Because sometimes, you know, it's like you ask a question, it doesn't get answered right away, you forget you ever had one. But if it was answered, it might, you know, a little light might have went off that you blinded your identity from fucking you over anymore. Anyway, this is Wide Awake in Babylon podcast. And, yeah, we're in the beginning stages. A little rough, you know. It'll get as pro as it's going to get. I mean, we'll see where the interest is, because that's going to decide how much bigger, what more we're going to do with this. Anyway, have a good night. Thank you very much for watching. If you did, you know, hopefully you weren't too offended, you know, or think, you know, I'm some egomaniac, because, you know, you can have any opinion you want. But, you know, anyway, hope this might have helped a little bit. Love you. Take it easy. Be good. Be good to your life. Done.
Bing! Hell yeah.
Nice.